Welcome to the Sprint Revolution School. This is the culmination of my life's work. Everything I've learned coaching some of the world's elite athletes, including Cesar Cielo, Fred Busquet, Bruno Fratis, and leading my Auburn team to the NCAA championship in 2009 alongside the legend Richard Quick. Now all of that knowledge is available to you. Our program is structured into easy-to-follow, interactive modules designed to take you from where you are today to becoming the fastest swimmer you've ever been. Check out the link in the description or simply search The Sprint Revolution on school.com to get started. All right, we're on. Here we are. Linnea Mack, how you doing? And Mark Nikolaev, how are you?
Yeah,
doing good this morning. Thank you.
Oh,
Now, where are you guys coming from? Tell us.
You're live from the southern end of Gold Coast, in sunny Australia, heading into our peak summer season.
Beautiful. My part of the world. I love it. That's awesome. Linnea, when did you move down there?
Beginning of January last year, so coming up on about a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've been to some spots now. You came from Hawaii too, didn't you?
Yeah, I was, San Diego, not a bad place. Hawaii, not a bad place. And then making my way down here, just kind of following the water, following the pool, and takes you good places.
Slowly progressing west.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah. Well, you're landing in some good spots. Keep it up. You're on a good track. What about you, Mark? What's your history of how you got to where you are now?
I come from Russia originally. Then I studied in the U.S. Went for Grand Canyon for 4 years or so. What was it? 2015 to 2019, and then after ISL and during ISL, I decided that I want to go somewhere else besides the US where people speak English, and I decided that Australia was a good choice, and I applied for residency and got here in the summer 2022. The winter here, July 2022. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, nice spot too, hey? And the Gold Coast. So you guys picked the prime real estate to be in. Sure.
For sure. For swimming, 100%.
Yeah, say location and swim wise too. It's just like the best of the best in the backyard. So we'll meet down the road, and it's like, oh, there's gold medal world record holders, just like casual.
So you guys were there during the Paris Olympics, or were you somewhere else?
Yeah, we were here. So I'm at the trials, which is kind of interesting just to be at an Australian trials and see what that was all about. But again, you're walking out and there's just this stack of the heat is just full of talent.
Yeah, especially for you with the girls 100 free. It's probably the most competitive for girls in the world, Australian one.
Yeah, right. What's it like for the outsiders looking in, and you guys are part of it now, like being there while the Olympics is on, especially like swimming is just a huge thing still down there, right?
Oh, so it was huge. I mean, you go into any surf club anywhere, and it's all over the TVs. It's all over the front of the papers, which is crazy. Just unlike anything in the States, everyone's talking about it. Everyone knows who everyone is. It's pretty fun. And I think just in general, like the swim culture starts at such a young age. And I think that for me has been the biggest difference. Like everyone starts swimming these school carnivals at age 5. And it's just it's just part of it. It's something that you do. So
I'm always surprised when I go to the beach and then I see the full families doing their thing. And the kids on the surfboards when they're 6. And every time I look at it, I think, no way people have a chance to beat Australians in surfing or swimming. Not even close.
Just so connected with the water from such a young age.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do miss living in America. Well, I guess I'm in California, so I can't complain too much. But the water's a little chilly here. But I just grew up on the ocean. That's what we did. Like we swam. You were in the pool in the morning, in the afternoon. You're at the beach. During the day, it was just like you're around water all the time, and that's kind of the way we grew up, just being around water.
Yeah, and you grew up down in Sydney, is that right?
Yeah, I grew up in Sydney, and it's very similar to the Gold Coast in the sense that everything's very coastal, and everyone lives along the water primarily. So it's just, and it's a surf culture. They have surf clubs down in Sydney, and it's just you swim and you do surf lifesaving kind of thing. So it's just ingrained, and it's simple to understand why swimming is so big down there, because it's just everybody does it, and they love their swimmers down there. So that's cool that you guys had that Olympic experience as well.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. So what about the Premier Swim League? You guys are starting to work with them, and that's been cool to kind of watch its growth. Linnea, tell us about that in more detail so people can get an understanding of what it is.
Yeah. Well, it basically just started off. Sean is a swim dad, the CEO who started this whole thing, and him and another friend were spending their entire week at the Sleeman Aquatic Center up in Brisbane for these 8-hour sessions, right? And then your kid is swimming once for a minute or so if you're get your money's worth. They swim a little longer, but right. But so they're swimming once a day for 8 days, and he and his friend were just kind of like, "There's got to be a better way to do this." And so they started coming up with an event structure that was all just fast-paced racing. It's all short events, and it's all just based on points, not times. So you have the opportunity to get up within an hour or a 30-minute section and race 4 times. And then you do that kind of whole program one more time. So within an hour and a half, essentially, you're racing 8 times. So that instead of an 8-day period, you come in on a Saturday morning, you swim your 8 times, you're in and out. And there's your Saturday, there's your racing. So that's kind of how it started. And I think in general, the idea was not only the time, but also just adding some more entertainment and pizzazz to the event. I mean, we saw that with ISL, and I know there's some other FINA events that start to add in the lights and the music, and you're kind of getting more of a show out of it. But I think that was really at the heart of the formation of it. Is like, how do we make swimming entertaining? How do we make this something that not just the swim dads and the swim moms want to come watch because they feel obligated to, or, but something that a broader community could get behind and watch at the Surf Life Saving Club, not just once every 4 years, but have something that's available to a wider audience to be able to actually enjoy and understand and get a little bit more invested in the sport. So that was the start of it. And we just kind of like rolled from there.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to have one of the teams in the last episode of the competition, and it seems to be growing even more. Mark, you're in charge of strategy and partnerships now. So what are you looking at doing in the next kind of iterations of the championship?
Yeah, last month we had so many discussions about where we want to go with the services and products. We came up with so many new things and what we're going to do in 2025. The primary concept, I think it's fine to share. It's going to be, besides that event that your swimmers, Brett, did in March, we're going to come up with another event that kind of looks like a knockout 50s. To mention what Linnea said before, we're trying to capture not just the swimming market, but also the broader sporting community, or for anyone who, I guess, watches the television or any streaming or something like that. So all those 50s are going to be very simple to understand. It's boy and girl, and literally one by one elimination and different strokes. So you don't even have to kind of know anything, and you can bet as well. Yeah, that's the main product that we are working on. There is a cinematographer that is going to help us with it. Think we're shooting one of the promos this week, see how we can broadcast it and create some sort of a product out of it, and then eventually do it maybe in February and March with professionals as well. So we can pitch it to some companies that can sponsor the event.
Yeah. Wow. The idea with that one is it's almost like, we don't want to use the word skins because that's already taken, and we're not copying that concept necessarily, but it's different. It's just 8 lanes, and then you just swim every 2 to 3 minutes, and just one swimmer gets eliminated every time. And every time before you get up to race, you have no idea what the 50 is going to be. There's going to be a giant, like a Jeopardy wheel. Spin the wheel. Literally, you have 15 seconds to figure out what stroke you got. Up on the blocks, off you go. So there's a little bit of a Jeopardy added to it. There's excitement. The swimmers don't really know what they're swimming. You could be swimming 850s on 2 minutes. It could be 2. So there's a little bit of strategy involved from the swimmer as well, right? It's like you can't just be fast once. You have to have a little bit of that endurance and have some versatility too. You could be the best 50 freestyle in the world, but if you start off with the 50 breaststroke, like, sorry, you're done. Figure out.
That would be me. I'd be out pretty quick if that was the case.
Yeah. And that'll be catered more towards like the pro level to start off. Whereas the event that we had last March, where we had the Sprint Revolution and those 8 teams, that's kind of more like the signature event. So that's running through a 15 event order. But again, that's all 50s, 100s, and relays. So it's still all pretty short events. But it's a bigger block of racing that you would get.
Oh, so there's going to be like 2 different styles. There's going to be like a pro circuit type thing and more of, where kids can compete as well.
Yeah, and more of like a community thing where, you just kind of get a mix, and that's where we'll have a draft incorporated where like national level. So, I mean, anyone can kind of join the draft and get picked up for these teams, but keeping that community feel to it. And I think that's honestly that's what sets us apart from something like the ISL is we're trying to just reach the broader swim community to get engaged, be a fan. You're part of this event. And so now when you see the pros doing it on TV, you're like, oh, I know what that's like to get up at the end, swimming that 50 free into that last relay. Like I've been there, I've done that. I'm invested. It's relatable. I kind of know what this person's going through. So it's kind of building that camaraderie, I guess. Yeah. It
looked like a fun event last time. I was sad I couldn't be there because I had a team there and they did awesome and it was cool. But is there anything that, maybe like my American audience, I have a large American audience. Is there anything you think you could compare it to? Is it, I mean, obviously there's going to be, media and things like that around it, but it sounds like it almost like has a, I don't want to dumb it down, but it has like a summer league feel where you come in and race and everyone's involved and you get in and out and it's quick and everybody gets a chance to swim multiple events. But is there something like that?
100%. And it's all points based. And I don't know if summer league, I mean, some probably have scoreboards and keep track of times, but it is in that sense of like, you're just racing for your little neighborhood team. And exactly that. It's like building the camaraderie, having it be frequent too. I think that was one of the big things with summer league. And as we're telling this to people, like especially the older swimmers, they're like, oh, we used to do this all the time on like Friday nights. And so there's a little bit like nostalgia kind of worked into it too, which is cool. But that exact feel where it can just be something that's every Saturday morning that you can get out and do with your friends and family even. But it doesn't, it's just something different and a really fun vibe around it all.
Is this going to be based specifically in Queensland for now?
For now, yeah. I mean, like we said, we have like some of the best swimmers in the world coming out of here. So it's a pretty good base market to get into. But we did host an event in Hawaii already to kind of tap in and see what the US market was like. And that went really well. Had a lot of great feedback from that. That one was definitely more of like a community event. We had Mark racing my dad in the 50 back at one point, which was awesome.
Who won, Mark? You beat it, Dad?
It was close.
I beat him on the water on the second one. Yeah, 100%.
Is that finished?
Nice. Now, how's this all being funded right now? Like, how are you putting it all together?
So we have some event. I mean, the last event that we had in March, we did have some event sponsors for that, and just kind of getting like value in kind from different swimming companies. But honestly, essentially for the most part, the CEO Sean is working with a couple companies to get some kind of like behind the scenes sponsors. Yeah. So right now, I mean, it's the whole chicken and egg thing, right? That's the same with ISL. It's like you need the broadcasting, but you need the funding to get the top swimmers there. And then kind of how do you get both at the same time? Yeah. So that's kind of where we're working with right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest challenge with the swimmers to get them involved because they always think, oh yeah, well, what's in it for me? That's the biggest challenge that we faced so far. But then if we talk about our mission and vision and where we want to go with it, I think when people start understanding, oh wow, that's something alternative, and so even if I not qualify to Olympics, which is the only path that I have right now, what else can I do? And that's an alternative pathway for you to stay in the sport and then maybe earn some money and have some fun. That's kind of where we want to go. That's the direction.
And hopefully getting some people, I think the more we share and have these conversations, people can see that like, okay, we're starting off, this is where we are now. Can you understand the 3-year vision and want to be part of that and kind of helping to lift the profile of the sport? It might not happen for you this year that you're going to make $10,000 and be able to support yourself for a few months, but can you see that for those kids coming up down the line in that 2 to 3 year period and want to just kind of help the next generation continue to be able to be a professional in this sport, because it's not easy. We all know that.
It's hard, isn't it? There's no real professionalism in swimming yet. Like it's kind of come and gone a little bit, but it's difficult. So it's good to see people and organizations like yours who are kind of putting it out there and trying to build this up. And it is. And I want to send a message to the athletes, to the swimmers, this is the message I tried to get across with the ISL, is like, look, I understand there's issues and complications, but you've got to put in to get out. You can't just take. It's not just a take. You got to put something into it. And I felt like at times the ISL wasn't fully supported by a lot of professional athletes, and it was doing a great thing for us as a sport to move forward, and it wasn't being fully supported. So it's never going to take off if that's the case. And I think this is another situation here now. We've got some people who are investing, putting time and energy into something that could be really productive, like you said, in 3 years, 4 years. But it's like you got to put a little bit in to get something out, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which as swimmers, we understand, the 4 year time frame. So but I think, and to that point too, I think even just starting off trying to get participation in the events, there's just such a locked and a fixed mindset around the Olympic calendar. And I think, for better or for worse, but I think it limits the amount of racing and engagement in these kinds of things, and just kind of like the out of the box thinking. And so many people are like, no, we can't come on a Saturday. We have training that day. And Mark and I are sitting here like, this is the best lactate set you're going to do all week. Like, you're getting up, you have 4 races within 30 minutes. Like your lactate will be 20, but just kind of being able to shift out of that mindset of like, oh no, I have to train because I have states next to me. Like, just the regime and kind of like the regimen of the practice and of that like Olympic calendar and of that mindset, and trying to get people to kind of open up a little bit and see beyond that, I think has been at least the biggest challenge for us so far in starting to engage some of the higher level athletes in just like participating in the event itself.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but we had we had a great showing with you guys last March, and had a lot of good level swimmers at that.
So I had some great swimmers on my team, but it's one of those things. I felt the same way. It was like, look, just put something out there, invest in this. And it's part of the reason why I called my brand Revolution, Sprint Revolution. We all sprint, we know that, but the part of the revolution is doing things differently, right? And changing things up. And like you said, I'm struggling too with the mentality of swimming and the way that we do it and how it's always been done, and trying to reshape it. And like you said, it's a lactate set on a Saturday morning. There's nothing better than that, right? Like getting up and racing. That's what we should be doing. We should be doing. That's what we train to do. So like if that's part of the training, then that's a bonus, So I don't. It's a struggle for sure, and I think we're on the path to change, and people are starting to figure it out. But certainly, we've got a long way to go still.
What's up? This is Nate from Swim Nerd. Just letting you guys know about Swim Nerd Timing. We now offer the most affordable, the easiest to use timing system in the world. We got it all. Starters, harnesses, buttons, touchpads, scoreboards, your one-stop shop for all your timing needs. Check us out at swimpractice.com.
What about some of the athletes who have kind of embraced it from your end and been supportive? Can you mention a couple of people?
Yeah, I know. Well, Isaac was on Sprint Revolution, and he's been key in that. Ella Ramsey also has been a huge player in recruiting a lot of the swimmers. I mean, obviously, like Mark and I are not from here, and she has that just like the deep connections with a lot of the swimmers in the area. So she's been awesome at trying to get the pull and the reach from that. Isaac, same thing. Just like all we really need is like the one person in a given program come try the event, and then it's like an easy sell. Like once you do it, you get it. And then it's easy to kind of bring the rest along. But I would say those two. Lonnie, I know Meg Harris did it. Lonnie Pallister. I'm trying to think who else. Grayson Bell.
So he's swimming all of them.
Yeah, he's swimming all of them. Yeah.
Very supportive about the idea. Sure.
Yeah, a lot of sprinters. That's good. That's good.
They're onto something.
Mark, what about in terms of kind of the broader swimming community in Australia? How are you reaching kind of a bigger audience to try and pull people in?
So I don't know if you can share that information that we're trying to partner with.
Yeah, share it. Why not?
Yeah, share. But last week we had a very good conversation with one of the biggest pool managers in Queensland, Rackley. You probably know who they are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they manage 30 pools. They have 40,000 members and 60 coaches in total. And so we're trying to partner with them so that we can have community events in their pools, and also they can promote the PLS events throughout their member base. So I think that's a very important and valuable step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that Sean is coming up with, and Linnea had some ideas, we're kind of trying to separate our vision into two things. One is we're doing an event for professional swimmers, and then another one is we're doing some services for community, like that PLS. I call it PLS 15, or like a legacy event with the 15 order structure. That's going to be for community. And then besides that, we are planning to do some clinics, as well as the idea that Linnea came up with, if you want to share.
Yeah, some signature sets. Yeah.
I think
so just trying to engage the community and having that partnership with Rackley, which was huge, just kind of gives access to a really big reach. And it allows us to be able to host something every week, if not like at multiple locations within the week. So just kind of like really just like a wildfire effect, like we'll just, boom, it's going to spread fast. But yeah, hosting clinics. So having athletes and pro level athletes have the opportunity to share and give back, as well as this idea of signature sets. So having people be able to come in and actually swim with the pros, doing one of their sets that kind of like, you know, their signature thing, like what made them who they are, but have a bunch of kids or master's level swimmers get, you know, understand what the set's about, and then be able to jump in for an hour and knock this thing out right next to the pro. I think just kind of builds that, builds that camaraderie, and it builds, again, like that relatability where now, you know, that person, you feel like you kind of have a little bit of a personal connection. You're going to be kind of more invested in their story and want to follow along. So it's kind of building out giving the athletes a platform to start to build their own, I don't know if you want to say brand, but just kind of start to build, their visibility and their profile, to where people like, again, know them and just kind of be able to have a broader reach within whatever they're doing.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest difference between what we are trying to do with PLS and what ISL did. They had that top pinnacle event, but there was not really connection with the people on land, I guess. And so, and PLS is trying to have a big community base first and build it from down up.
Yeah, bottom up.
Bottom up. Yeah, exactly. And then we're still gonna have that pinnacle event with the knockout, like a type of skins event that we talked about previously, so that people can watch something.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, and Brett, you can speak to this as well. Like, I think that's one of the big things that we're missing in the sport that like the Formula One did, and that was it track. I think it's called Speed.
Yeah.
Where they had like the documentary series where you actually get to know the athletes. And I think honestly, ISL missed out big time the year that we were in Budapest and even during Naples, but of just having a crew follow and just start to like get to know these athletes on a personal human to human level, and just starting to build out that connection. So I think that's something that we're aware of and trying to make sure that that's one of the priorities as we start to build as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What about, you know, the bigger picture in terms of like Swimming Australia and, you know, Queensland Swimming and, you know, people like that? Have you reached out to them in terms of trying to partner with anybody like that?
I think he did at the beginning, and I think it was still too much in the early phases at that point to start to get any sort of traction. And I know there's been conversations like, and it's very clear, right? It's like we're this, and we're not trying to change anything or like poach any swimmers from Australia swimming. Like it's very much in complementary to their vision and what we're doing, what they're doing within the Olympic calendar and within Worlds, and that it's not trying to pull people away from that in any sort of way. But it's just offering more race opportunities, which honestly, I think is just going to catapult people's
number of swimmers that are going to stay in the sport.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. You'll have people staying in longer. I think the times are going to get way faster because you just have these Saturday morning opportunities to just race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also the swim in Australia, they tried something with another guy with the Australian Swimming League or something like that. Who got in trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're in the position right now to maybe do something again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So we'll start with the
What
racket.
about in terms of international athletes? You want them to compete here as well?
Oh, for sure.
100%, that'll be great.
Yeah, and that's where we're hoping to go. 3, even I'd say even 3. I'm gonna say 3 to 5, but we'll be optimistic. We're gonna say 3. 3 years down the line of having, starting to spread out to the U.S. We already did an event there. I think it would actually go really well in California. California in itself could just be its own home base, and then be able to spread into Europe and maybe eventually into Asia. But eventually, kind of building out the bases and building out the reach and the number of events that are happening for sure.
Awesome. Love it. So the PLSA, the Premier League Swimming.
Yeah.
Get that right, Brett. Get it right. Premier League Swimming. How do people reach out if they're interested? How do they contact you guys?
To social media. We have a website. Yeah. Those would be the 2.
Instagram.
I think Facebook too. I don't know if anyone's on Facebook anymore.
Right. It's mostly Instagram.
Yeah, mostly
that's where
Instagram
people
and
send
website. No, I don't think there's a TikTok going on yet. We haven't reached it.
We're too old for
We're
that.
too old.
What about Linnea? Are you still competing?
I am. We have a PLS tonight, actually. A little, so I'll be there. A little teaser event, but I'll be swimming the Queensland States in December, and then looking to come back to the States at some point next year to hop in for some more fast swimming.
What about you then? Tell us about your training. How are you in terms of how you stay fit and how you keep going fast and how you want to progress? Yeah, at the stage you are in your career, how do you do it?
Well, it's like what you said. It's almost like we got to work backwards a little bit first. Give in order to get. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what the last 2 years have been. After 2021, obviously, just missing the team twice by 0.1 is devastating and heartbreaking, and definitely took some time to kind of regroup and reassess. And I think I tried to get back into things too fast without really doing anything different. And I think that kind of bit me in the butt a little bit and then set me back even further. And mentally of just like, why, trying to get back into things. Why would I keep doing this? It's heartbreak over heartbreak. So really I took the time last year to really just fully step away from the sport. I ended up doing a half Ironman and decided on but with the point of I wanted to see what my blind spots were when it came to competing. So it was enough of a challenge and it was a different competition space, but I wanted to see like where was I kind of like sabotaging or where was the link that I was missing heading into competing. And figured it out. And I think on about mile 2 of the bike, I decided I really enjoyed pool sprinting and I was not going to be an endurance land athlete. So that was the end of that. I came back into it in a really, really intentional way. And I think working to reset a lot of just muscle and emotional and mental patterns, which has been really, really hard. You're so set in a structure for so long. So to be able to strip away a lot of that, start to question everything, why we do the things we do, which I know is like exactly what you're all about. And, but yeah, just really starting to question that. I'm like, why is it that I do this? And can we try this with training instead? And so being really open, which is hard to be able to just get creative, try new things. Maybe you fall flat on your face. That's okay. But knowing that it's a long game. I'm not trying to get back to where I was within a year. I want to do something really, really different and really set myself up to just feel more grounded and more kind of in charge of the whole process and have more of a say, more ownership for what I'm doing. So that's been the last year is just like a lot of putting pieces of the puzzle in, taking them back out. But it felt like I was like, okay, there's one more piece. We're just missing one thing. It's like, nope, we're just going to flip the table over and start all over again.
Right.
So.
Well, you know what? It's funny. Like the more people I talk to in this instance where they have this kind of life-altering moment where they start to question everything and really look inward a lot, and then they have this discovery, right? And it sounds like that's what you're having in a way of like this discovery of like, okay, figuring out what you really should be doing and how much value you should be putting on certain things and and why you were doing other things and why you shouldn't be doing those things and that sort of thing. Like, I talked to many people like you, including, Cam McAvoy. Cam just had this, full resurgence of his career and ends up becoming Olympic champion after kind of having a very, pivotal moment, kind of like yourself. And so I start to think to myself, well, if Linnea's saying this and Cam's saying this and all these other, Marius Kush and all these other people that I'm talking to are having these moments, like, why are we waiting till the end of our careers to kind of have these, thoughts and decisions? Like, shouldn't we be thinking about this earlier than by the end? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I wonder if you have to go through all that in a way
100%.
to be able to reach that peak where it is just kind of those finishing touches and like you've banked all this. And that's the discussions that we're having. It's like, could you implement, I mean, we're not swimming a ton of yards. We're doing a lot of stuff in the ocean. There's a lot of like different stuff we're doing, but could you do that as a 12-year-old starting off and be able to reach the level, like the same level of what we're doing now? But I don't know at what point, how much of that bank do you need? And I think too, you kind of reach a point mentally that you kind of have to go through, the get down, get back up, get down.
Sure.
Here's what works, here's what doesn't. And that resilience is also what allows you to get to this point and being so intentional and so methodical in those minute little details. So I don't know if that's something that you could start off as a 12-year-old. But I think you're right. I think the more people now, like at this level who are doing this, the quicker we can come back in and share these things and just have like a broad reach in the sport. And start to get coaches involved or just like start to spread the message of like, hey, there is a different way. Maybe there is a better way. Maybe we can not wait until we're 28, but maybe it's 24 instead.
Yeah.
But I 100% agree.
Well, I actually had the same thoughts. The phrase that you kept saying, I don't know, or we don't know, like that is true in a way, right? Like we've never really done it any differently. We've always done it in a way, and swimming has this problem that it's kind of this one size fits all, that everybody does it. And I travel around the world, and they're just like you guys, and I see these programs and everybody's doing it the same way. They're all doing the same thing, right? There's no different way. And so I kind of had this moment myself where I was like, well, if we don't really know, then why don't I go back and try it? So that I started a club team. I'm working with kids and I'm trying to solve this problem of like, can we take kids and give them by no means would I say it's the bare minimum, because we work really hard but we work very specific. We work on skill, we work on skill development, we work on speed development, we work on hard work and having fun and the balance of those two things, right? But like I've gone back all the way to the beginning, and I'm working with kids and I'm getting incredible results, like just crazy results. So I'm kind of excited to be at the forefront of that test to see if we can do it, because I don't want to wait till, we're 25, 30, 35 to figure out, well, maybe I should be doing things differently, and maybe I'd be happier if I did it this way, so.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you can already kind of see the trajectory with the young kids.
You said 12-year-old. I got a 12-year-old who's the third fastest 12-year-old in the country right now. I've been working with her for 3 months, and she's just going fast and loving it. I'm like, should I apologize for that? Like, I'm sorry. Right. Yeah. We're having fun, and maybe next week we're going to Vegas next week, and we're actually doing our first taper meet. So maybe you should be number one in the country by then. I don't know. So it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I have a 12-year-old who's swimming fast. I have 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and what they're telling me is, look, it took them a little bit of time to kind of understand this new methodology and new way of doing it, because I'm very much based around intensity, right? Like you have to train at a certain level to get certain results. You can't just come in the pool, take a hot shower, go home and think that was training, right? Like, that's not it. But it's about intentionality of like coming in, doing specific work, being technical, being aware of what you're doing and how you're doing it, like being switched on, right? Like for shorter amounts of time, but really coming in with the intention to get better that day. And I've tried to instill this in the kids of like, we don't just come in and go through the motions. We come in and do something productive.
Hmm.
Look, they have their moments, right? They're kids. But I think it's taken them about three months now to understand, oh, that's what he's trying to do, and that's why he's doing it, and it makes sense. And I'm swimming fast off that, and I'm having fun, I'm enjoying it. And now all the team, like all the kids, are buying in. You know, there was this, I could feel this hesitancy at first because like, this is different. I don't know about this. And then it kind of just one kid bought in, then two kids, and then three, and then all of a sudden they're swimming fast. And I got a team full of kids just doing best times left and right. I literally had a 13-year-old boy the other day swim 11 swims. He went 11 for 11 best times. You know, I'm like, you know, so it's like, I'm not the savior of swimming. I'm just saying there's another way we could do it. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to figure it out earlier than having to get to, you know, our age or my age. I'm older than you, but like having to get to a certain age and being like, why did I just do all that? You know?
Yeah. Well, then, I take it back. It can work for 12-year-olds.
It's really interesting how actually I think 3 months is very quick for them to adapt. I don't think adults would be able to do it, maybe because of the ego or.
Well, and it's not that they don't know anything different. It sounds like they're on the team before, but I think if you're just like around it so much, you just like absorb it and it just becomes so like that's your system that you're operating in. So it becomes harder to try and like actually break out of that. Yeah.
Well, you've seen me. I've had the pleasure of working with you before, Linnea, who's a professional athlete who is incredible at what you do, you know, and very, you know, mindful of everything. But it's just those little things, you know, like observationally, I might be able to say to you, hey, just work on this or tweak this, and you do it. And that's kind of what I've been doing with the kids. Is like, look, there's a certain way to push off the wall, you know, and it can be done well or it can be done poorly. Most kids are pushing off the wall very poorly every single practice, you know, around the country. So it's like, it's not hard to get a kid. Well, actually, it's hard to get them to do it well often. But once you get them to a point where they're pushing off the wall well, and they're valuing their line and they're understanding why it's important, then they put it into practice, and it's just like they start dropping time because they're swimming with intention, you know?
Yeah. I think that was like what you just said there, like that understanding. I think that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the value, you have to get kids to understand the value of why would I do that? You know, like why would I put that much mental effort into it? Why would I put that much intensity into it? Why is that important? Why do I need to repeat that over and over again to get results? You know, so I'm not saying like, you know, the normal swim practice would be 2 hours, right? I'm saying, why don't we go an hour and a half? Why don't we cut 30 minutes off that? Well, why don't we just do it at a percentage that is much greater than what the people that are swimming for 2 hours are doing it at, you know? So it's like the quality of the work is there, the intensity's there, you know, and we can do it in a shorter amount of time. So it makes sense to me, you know?
Yeah, 100%. That's something that we've been, or at least like, I feel like I've finally discovered this year is, but with training, to what you're saying, like in college, club team, not so much, I was singles, but college, you start to have these double days, right? Where you have doubles, you have to come back the next day, you have another 2-hour session in the morning, weights in the afternoon, the next day you have another 3.5 hours, but it's only a single, right? But you start to lose what it means to actually go 100% because you subconsciously, you know, in the back of your mind, you have something else coming. You can't actually go 100% and then tell your coach, hey coach, I actually pushed myself. That was absolutely everything I had. My nervous system is fried. I need 3 days to recover. Like you can't do that. You can't do that in a college program. And so I think, so what you're saying, like giving that space and recognizing that like, hey, when you are working at this level, let's actually go 100% and you'll have the break, or, you know, you have what you need to be able to restore and come back and be able to hit that effort again. And maybe it doesn't need to be every day, twice a day, because I think you actually lose that last like 2% of what it means to actually dig and find that little bit. You lose the adaptation with that.
Well, here's another argument that I love to throw out there to swim coaches in the way of changing the way we think, right? Mark, how many swim sessions traditionally did you do a week?
I think I'm a very lucky person because my mom was my coach. And so it's not like I can manipulate the decisions, but I had a say in what I wanted to do.
But let's just say, just how many workouts a week did you do?
6, 7.
Okay,
7.
6. All right, let's say it's 7. How many times were you in the gym a week?
Like maybe 2.
Okay. When you're in the gym, what is the purpose of going to the gym twice a week? Why would you even bother going to the gym? What are you trying to get out of the gym?
I mean, I'm honestly, I'm the worst person to ask about the gym because I haven't done gym in about 10
No,
10
but
years.
like if you just intentionally, what is anybody trying to do when they go to the gym? Anybody?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Can
just
you
trying to get-
answer that? Because I don't know.
Just trying to get stronger. It's like
Yes,
put on
right.
muscle, get
Okay,
power.
simple. Just simple, right? You're trying to get stronger. You're trying to get more powerful. You're trying to get more explosive. Maybe you're working on flexibility. Maybe you're working on mobility, right? There's purpose, but there's effort. There's intensity. There's you're putting out energy. It's taxing. You're going to have to recover from that. So here's my take on this, though, right? Like when we talk about workouts, traditionally we always say Mark does 7 workouts a week, and then he does 2 gym. Why aren't those 2 gym considered as part of your workout regime for the week? So why don't we say Mark does 9 workouts a week instead of saying 7? You know what I mean? So here's what I'm trying to get at is like we look at swimming as the only recognition of any form of effort that you do in terms of a weekly structure, right? But you're adding on all this gym. And the reason why you go to the gym is for the same reasons why you go to the pool is you're trying to get stronger, faster, all those sorts of things. So why isn't it considered as part of the training week, right? Most athletes are swimming 9 to 10 swim sessions a week, right? And then they're adding on 3 to 4, maybe it might be a gym session. It might be a dry land session of some type of workout, right? Swimmers are getting up to 14 to 16 workouts a week, and they're not being considered as like a swimmer would never say, I do 16 workouts a week. But in reality, most of them are doing 16 workouts a week. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So Linnea, when you think of the energy expenditure, like we're overtraining drastically for what we do. We swim for a minute. You know what I mean? It's nonsense, right? I don't know. That's my rant.
No, for sure. People don't get enough time for adaptation. 100%. Yeah. You do so much, and there is not enough time to assimilate everything that you've done throughout the week. But to your point, maybe how people think about it, because when I had those gym sessions when I was a kid, it was usually 30 minutes before swimming, and it was something movement related rather than, or like skill acquisition in comparison to like lifting weights with maximum weight. Which still,
you said your mother coached you? You had a smart mother then, Mark. You should be you're very lucky.
But yeah, maybe that's why people don't consider it as like additional practice.
It's just never talked about as part of the weekly structure, right? It's like how many workouts a week do you do? 7. How many times you're in the gym? 3. Well, you're doing 10 workouts. What are you talking about?
Cardio.
Like you're literally doing 10 workouts a week, you know? So it's funny how we just don't consider it. So but it's all part of it. And then when we look back, like Linnea is right now, you realize, why did I do all that shit? Like it's so much. I could just eliminate half of that and do it at a better quality, get more rest, because rest is valuable in terms of recovery and coming back for the next workout. Maybe I add in a mobility session. Maybe I add in some yoga, for body refreshness, mind, getting my mind ready, all those sorts of things that matter to performance, but we look at performance a lot as just, how hard can you go? How much can you endure? How much can you beat down? And we don't realize like performance, recovery should be valued in the quality of performance, so things like that. So I don't know. I'm trying to look at it differently, just as much as you guys are starting to analyze your careers and how we can do it better. And look, the Premier League swimming is something that's exciting because what it does, it puts value on racing. And I think racing is a huge component of swimming, right? Like that's what it should be. It shouldn't, the biggest component shouldn't be training. The biggest component should be racing, and training is part of preparing to race,
Yeah. I'd say last little bit to that point. I think one of the things that I really appreciate about the Premier League is there's no times. Like there's literally no way for you to know what your time is unless you have someone on the side. But there's no scoreboard. The timers don't have stopwatches either. The system that they have for like figuring out for tracking is first is just like a button and it's its own thing, and it just calculates who's first, second, third. It doesn't produce any time. And I think, honestly, what that does is that's going to help people get over this outcome anxiety of having your time up on the scoreboard and getting so attached to the results.
Yeah.
Like you are literally just racing. There's no way for you to know what the time is. It's all just based on feel. And it's all team-based, so you are getting out of yourself in a different way, if that makes sense. Like you don't have, there's no time for the drama of like, oh, my time was this, so I must be this. Oh, I need to, go down and warm down and put on my fins and paddles and fix this and this. Like you don't have time for that. You just have to
go again.
Yeah, figure out what you can do to shake it off. But I think what that does is like it gets you more into like a flow space. And I think what we're going to see is just, like I said, the times will come in the other competitions as part of Swimming Australia or USA Swimming. Like you'll have opportunities to get times. But I think just being in that flow state of just like in the present and locked in on what you're doing is just going to like catapult our sport. Like exponentially, people are just going to start to take off and go faster and faster.
Times eventually, yeah.
I mean, we saw it with ISL. Like Mark was an example of that. 100 backstroke was just like half a second faster every week because you're just racing it every weekend. Sure. World Cups, we saw world records broken every single week because people are just racing. You're just doing it. You're doing it. You're in that kind of like in that flow space and just like so in the present of what you're doing. And I think that's the league offers that opportunity just on another level without having the times. And again, without that kind of like attachment to outcomes. You're out of that. You're in the present. Just go.
No, I totally agree with that. It's amazing how we didn't learn really from that as a broader swimming community. We didn't learn from COVID. Like we come out of COVID and everybody's swimming best times, and and they hadn't done half the work they'd done previously, and things like that. And the racing, like you said. So I agree with that. One of the biggest struggles for me over here is that app. What's the app where they go on and they can see Meet Mobile, right? Like they get on their times and it tells you, did you add or did you drop?
Oh
my God, that's the worst app on earth, right? Like, a kid will come over and I'll be so excited, and then they'll go and see their parents and be like, oh, you added 0.1 of a second. I'm like, who cares? Or you only dropped 0.1 or whatever. It's like, what are you talking about? It's so crazy. So that the whole Meet Mobile, mentality in swimming, that's kind of hurt us a bit. So that idea of just going back to pure racing is kind of cool.
Sure. Especially for the older swimmers, because I think with your experience when you're 12, it's kind of easier to get the PBs, but then when you're closer to the world records, it's I'm not sure if this year the PB actually is going to happen. And so if you're racing a PLS, you don't really care about that anymore. It's just going back to back and helping your team.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. All right. Well, this has been good to catch up, and congrats on everything. Good luck with everything. And if there's any help we can give in the future, we'll be here. But I hope people really attach to it. If there's any swimmers out there listening and want to be part of it, reach out on social media to you guys and get on board. It'll be cool. I like where it's headed. So congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Excited for what's to come.
Yeah. Good to see you guys again. Take care. All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Bye. You want to swim faster? You need Sprint Revolution resistance equipment. This isn't just gear. It's a game changer. Our propellers, power socks, stretch cords, parachutes, and paddles are all designed to build explosive speed and power in the water. If you're serious about taking your swim to the next level, you need the best resistance gear out there. Sprint Revolution, where speed is born.